finally got what you wanted out of your group, which was you held them the second half to under 30. When you look back at the tape now, was there something you saw, or was it they finally responded to that message of the little things that you were talking about?
It's more of them. It's just human nature, something else, Akil. You know, as far as we were making progress. I thought we took a step back the fourth quarter of the Philly game, and it continued into the Atlanta game, the slippage defensively. And, you know, we had a long film session Sunday, I guess it was the morning of the Orlando game, just, you know, a lot of mistakes shown by each player that played. And, you know, guys saw how, you know, we had slipped defensively. And so just getting the message, making sure and again, one game doesn't make it consistent. So we got to do it consistently again tomorrow night, again in Utah. So it's got to be a part of our, you know, our daily performance is the defensive focus, the physicality, the defensive effort, the 50-50 balls, all the hard things that are about playing defense on a nightly basis. And again, you're going to have a team like Atlanta. I thought Atlanta played one of their best games. They were shooting the ball really well against us. But again, there were some things we could have done in a 4-point game that could have made a difference.
I guess last night was one of those games, as you say, where they told on themselves. They showed that they can do it. It's just a matter of the consistent approach.
Consistent approach, Josh. The physicality, you know, having somebody to feel you, not being this far away from guarding your man. Your guy cuts through the lane. He's got to feel your presence. You know, so all those things are reminders. You know, and again, you know, it's hindsight's undefeated, but yet and still, you know, to see it, to be embarrassed by it the way Atlanta did with us was eye-opening, I think, hopefully for our guys.
3 games in a row now that Pat has started the third. I'm not going to ask you who's going to start on Tuesday because you won't tell me. But if Pat were to start, what would be the challenges for you in terms of like working the rotation and sort of refitting the rotation?
There's no challenge. Yeah. We're not changing the rotation. I always said at the beginning, it's going to be fluid. That position is going to be, it's not going to be permanent. And, you know, we have the prerogative of using our roster the way we want to use it. I wouldn't read anything to it. I've always said Pat's our 6th starter. We look at him as a starter, and that hasn't changed just because Pascal's starting. Pascal's doing a heck of a job. I thought he had one of his better defensive approaches last night. Had 4 energy blocks. And so, you know, so it's nothing Pascal is doing wrong. It's just at the moment what we decide to do with Pat.
What is it about Pat and that role that he's been in as the 6th starter, as you say, that you've liked over the years?
Well, I think if my numbers are, he's the 5th or 6th in the NBA in plus minus. So that is for starters. Things change when he comes into the game, and that's a huge statement. You know, for a substitute to be the 6th or 5th or 6th, I can't remember what it was, 7th. Yeah, so I knew it was something so
pretty good.
7th, yeah.
Golden State Big Four, and then Chris Paul and Blake Griffin.
Okay, so that says something right there, the impact he's having on a game, you know, at his position as a guy coming off the bench and maybe sometime starting the second half.
Was?
Well, Utah is quite the challenge. What's going to be special about them? Joe Johnson, of course, and they kind of revamped that team, created a new identity for themselves.
Well, we got Brooklyn tomorrow night, Akil, and I was watching, you know, they've played some tough teams. They played Houston tough. They put 116 points on Houston. It was a nip and tuck game there at Houston. So it's a team you can't sleep on. I mean, you can't look at their record and say, and again, I always say this, and people, you know, look at me like I'm great. We don't have the right to look at anybody in the NBA and say, okay, they have a bad record, it's going to be an off night. No, our margin for error is small, and we've got to come in each and every night with a professional, hard-nosed approach, or bad things will happen. You know, we've always had trouble with Brook Lopez. We've always had trouble with Jeremy Lin, 2 players. Bogdanovich spanked us last year at their place. So. They have some challenges for us if we don't come in focused and ready to play before we get to Utah. So I'm old school from that standpoint. Utah is, I couldn't even tell you the day we play Utah right now. I know we play Brooklyn. I know we play Brooklyn tomorrow night.
He just saw Joe Johnson and got confused.
Okay.
Brooklyn's an interesting situation because, you know, usually those teams are rebuilding, but since they don't have the draft picks or really a ton of young players, like all those guys have incentive to play hard, and they don't have incentive to lose, is what I'm saying, as an organization. So is that a team that like could potentially scrap harder just because of that?
No question. They're dangerous in the fact they're number 1 in pace, they're number 4 in points in the paint. You know, Lopez gets the ball in the paint. Jeremy, they're an attack team, and if you don't come in with your focus, it's a long night. And again, this is our job. This is serious business for us, and we got to take each night from that standpoint and make sure that approach is that way, especially on the defensive end, because again, this team is very capable of putting a lot of points on you if you're not ready to play.
Have you seen anything different from Anthony Bennett this year on the tape, and how much is having Scola there again to help him out? I'm
sure that helps huge, you know, and people were talking about Biz last night. You got Scola coming in. He's another professional guy that meant a lot to our team last year. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Luis and Anthony. I have empathy for him, a guy that's trying to make it in the league and has the ability to be an NBA player and just hadn't turned the corner yet. And hopefully Luis can help him. He's in a situation where he's getting minutes, he can play. You know, he's still a very capable scorer in the paint. They post him up some. He's spreading the floor some, shooting the three. I think they're 4th or 5th in three-point attempts, so everybody's getting threes up, including Luis. So, but Anthony is still on the come. He still has a lot of potential, and you know, I hope he gets it and makes it. Except I hope he doesn't come in and have a good game tomorrow night.
Terrence, Norm, and Luis are among the league leaders in scoring efficiency per 36. Have you been surprised with how much scoring you've gotten from your bench, specifically those young guys?
Oh, yes. You know, really the way Terrence is playing has been very efficient. I think he had a tough stretch toward the end of the game last night. But, you know, he's been very efficient offensively and defensive for us. He's been active in the passing lanes. You know, it's almost like you're surprised when he does miss. And then Norm has been super. I mean, his approach to the game, his professionalism, his work ethic every day in the gym has kept him ready. And then we saw the same thing with Fred VanVleet last night. Same thing that Norm had with being ready last year. Fred was ready. I think the 905 has really provided that rhythm, that time to go and play and get your rhythm, to stay in game condition. And Fred VanVleet was ready last night. So our guys work at it. The efficiency that they've provided has been a cause and effect of them coming in the gym and working their behinds off.